Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. What's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is called The Unspeakable Acts of Zina Pavlou by author Eleni Kyriacou. Bit of a clue what's going on the front of the book. There's a strapline that says, "They say she's a murderer, she says nothing." So I guess the genre of this book is true crime. It's a fictional tale, but it's based on real events that happened in London in 1954. The book was released here in the UK on 9th of November 2023 as a hardback. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Well, we kick off with a lady called Eva, spelled EVA, not pronounced Eva. We're told in the book that it's Eva, rhyming with clever. So Eva Georgiou. In bed with her husband Jimmy, there's a knocking at the door. Eva's not very happy. She works as a cloakroom assistant at the Café de Paris. She's had a late shift. The last thing she needs is somebody knocking on her door early in the morning. Turns out it's a police constable who tells her in a quaint old English phrase that his sergeant's going to have his guts for garters if she doesn't accompany him immediately to the police station. Turns out that Eva acts as an interpreter for the Met Police and has worked with them on several small cases before. So Eva dutifully gets up and she figures, hey, I could do with the money. Gets down to the police station where she's confronted by something that she wasn't really expecting. It turns out the person they're asking to do the translation for is a 53-year-old Greek lady called Zina Pavlou, who's been accused of murder. And it's not just murder, it's a brutal murder of her daughter-in-law, Hedy, a German daughter-in-law, Hedy. Zina is a small lady. She's a grandmother of 5. She looks as though she's quite slight, and Eva's quite worried about this. But Zina hardly speaks a word of English. She can't read, she can't write, and Eva has got to basically act as her interpreter so that she can understand what the police are accusing her with. So that's how the story kicks off. Eva, thinks the money will come in handy, and she is tasked with supporting Zina throughout these accusations. And sure enough, Zina is remanded in custody and she's accused of murder. So the tale unfolds where we see the story of Zina. She comes over from Cyprus. She's staying with her son Michaelis, his German wife Hedy, their daughter Anna, and their little baby boy Georgie. She tries to get on with Hedy, her German daughter-in-law, and it doesn't really work out because they've got polar different ideas on how children should be brought up. Zina wants the child baptized, Hedy doesn't. There are things that they go around the house. Whenever Hedy turns her back on Zina, she regards that as a slight and affront. So we get that detail following up. And the thrust of this book is the relationship between the two women. Zina is accused of murder, and Eva is tasked with, liaising with the police and explaining to Zina what they're being accused of. Eva is also asked to translate letters that Zina wants to write to a family to ask for support. So this relationship between the two women grows as the book carries on. And despite Eva being told that she's there to act as an interpreter, to simply translate, she can't help but get involved because she feels that Zina may not be getting a fair crack of the whip, because she doesn't speak the language, because she doesn't write the language. There seems to be an assumption, bang to rights, she's bound to be guilty. The other thing that worries Eva is that Zina sometimes seems to be slightly away with the fairies. She's not always seems to understand what's going on, and she's made references to things that have happened in the past, which makes Eva think, what's going on here? So that's the gist of the story. It's a very well written book. I'd give it 7 out of 10. You see the relationship between the two women. You understand the unfairness of which Zina, the defendant, feels that she's just been written off because she's an immigrant and she doesn't know the ways of the world in England. And, you understand that. So very well written book. And as I said, it's based on a true crime story. There's an author's note at the back which explains, what happened and what this case is based on. So a very good read, 368 pages. I read it in two sessions. And it's fair to say that, the mark of a good book is when you can engage with the characters and want to know what's going to happen to them. You do with this book. But also, the Zina-Ava relationship, you think about that after you've read the book, because it's like, what was it really like in the 50s? How did the police treat people? How did society in general treat people? It's a whole bunch of stuff that makes you think. Again, always a sign of a good book. So I give it 7 out of 10. That's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.